All right, welcome to another Dark Wizard Gaming Battle Report. Today I have Pablo, who is our local Dredd Elves expert. What did you bring for us today?
I brought a very fast, shooty MSU stylist with a little bit of combat punch just to charge down the stragglers.
I'm really looking forward to see how these run away from all the dwarfs today.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be real fun.
And then
Running from dwarves. No running from dwarves.
and then David is back with his mighty dwarves. I think they're going to have a good showing tonight.
I can hope so. I've got a fair amount of guns and, crossbows and other things, so we'll see if he can outrun those.
I'm really looking forward to see how the Hold Guardians, is that what they're called?
Yeah, it's a new unit that they put in the 2.0 thing, so I'm trying them out. We're going to go with the extra strength, so they're a lot like they used to be, but with the extra attacks, I'm really hoping that they can, if they can actually get into combat with anything, they will be doing fairly good, I believe.
Well, I'm excited to see that. We're playing 4,500 points. We're doing the Counterthrust and the, I already forgot it, what was it called? Spoils of War?
Spoils of War, or Gold Digging, the old name, Gold Digging for dwarves.
There you go. All right, well, let's have a great game, guys. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
For my general, I have an Oracle with a Wizard Master, Light Armor, Book of Arcane Power, Amulet of Spite, Destiny's Call, and a horse for 630 points. Then I have a Cold Priest of Nab with paired weapons, BSB, Morix Reaping, and then Seal of the Republic. Those are my two characters. The Oracle kind of goes off on her own and can pop into units when she wants to, just to make her movement faster, and the Cold Priest goes with the Blades of Nab. From right to left, I have five Dark Riders with crossbows, and behind them 6 Cold One Knights with a musician, Dread Knights with a musician. Then next to the left of the Dark Raiders, I have 5 Dark Acolytes with a champion, and they have Altered Sight and Ice and Fire. Behind them is the General, and then to the left of them again is another unit of Dark Raiders with crossbows, and then behind them is 10 Blades of Nab with banner, musician, and then the Flaming Banner. Behind them is the first of 3 Dread Reapers, and then going up top to the left, there's another unit of Dark Raiders, and then another one to the left, and then behind them is a unit of 5 Dread Knights with musician, and then I have 2 Dread Reapers further along, and then a Hydra hiding behind a building. And so for this deployment, I wanted to try and get first turn, because I know that if I can shoot off some of his shooting, I'll just gain more and more board control. Given that it was Counterthrust, I sort of want to control one half of the board and make him sort of have to feel encircled, because my army is way more mobile and is way harder to catch than his. And so I'm just trying to take off his ranged and then shoot him with a bunch of magic, basically for the first couple turns. Yeah. Oh, I also have 3 units of 5 Raven Cloaks scouted.
Alright, so here's the forces that I brought for the dwarves today. My general is a runic smith. She has a shield, 2 runes of shielding for that 4-up shield wall, and a rune of devouring so that she can potentially take away one of my opponent's spells. What the rune of devouring does is it allows me to essentially take one of your spells after you cast it, and you can't cast it for the rest of the game. Alright, I also have the rune of retribution on her to kind of make people less likely to want to attack her with that 4-up ward save. Any of those that she passes, she bounces the wounds back on her attacker. And finally, a rune of iron for a 2-up armor save. She's also got an ancestral memories, and I've decided that pretty much the scariest thing on the field for me is that Hydra off on my right, so I'm going to hate that thing. My BSB has a pistol and a great weapon, so you can choose either to go with the paired weapons or with the great weapon, as he wants. He also has the rune of swiftness, so he can pull those quarrelers that he joined forward, and 3 runes of shielding for a 4-up. I have an Anvil of Power with the spells as shown. And lastly, on characters, I've got a Dragon Seeker. He's got Monster Seeking, 2 runes of Lightning, and the rune of Returning. Hopefully he'll be able to throw his axes at people and kill them at range. My deployment, I started off with the Gyrocopter on the hill to try to push him over to the left side, away from the building. And then I went with the crossbowmen the clan marksman to further force him over to that side. As I'm kind of envisioning the way this battle is going to happen, we're going to swing the door shut. So going from right to left on the finished deployment, I've got my crossbowmen with BSB that are going to vanguard forward. I've got the quarrelers and the attack copter on the hill. Behind that, I've got my Anvil and the Steam Bomber hiding out. My King's Guard with full command and the standard of shielding, along with my General, are kind of holding my center and giving the 5-up ward save bubble. My Seekers with the Dragon Seeker in there are deployed along the center but are probably going to Vanguard. On my left is my Hold Guardians, who have the Strength 6 bonus.
So for my movement, I wanted to move the Hydra out on the left flank to pose a threat to his Quarrelers, because with his all of attack, stomps, and regen, I'm pretty sure he can just take that unit, or at least occupy them for a lot of turns, even with the BSB. And if they go Steadfast, I'm not too worried about it either, because he has a breath weapon, so that's pretty good. All my other things, I either moved into 20, well, we're either in 24, so I had 2 units of Dark Riders that didn't move at all, that are going to shoot at his Vengeance Seekers. And then the other Dark Riders that weren't in range, I moved to be up in range of a couple different units. I moved the one farthest to the left, close range of the crossbows, because I'm sure they can shoot him up. It's 200 points, but I also put them in a way so that they're all in short range, and then all my Reapers are all unimpaired to the unit, so we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, I moved my farthest unit of Dread Knights up towards the objective. My Wizard joined the Dark Acolytes on the hill, and they have line of sight off of it to cast some spells. I moved these Dread Knights over 3.5 inches this way, so that my far Dread Reaper has unimpaired access to the Quarrelers as well. So we'll see what I can get done with magic and shooting. So magic phase, I got off the Ice and Fire on the Vengeance Seekers. And it was one with divine attacks. It was a miscast 4/4, so it goes down to a 3. I did 2 wounds to my unit of acolytes 'cause they passed their panic test, and the Vengeance Seekers took 6 wounds from them off of 11 hits. In my shooting phase, I didn't do too much. I put a wound on his big golem guys, and then I did 7 wounds to his Quarrelers.
Just in case it matters, all the big statues on the table are not actually there. All the big statues on the table are just for decoration. So, for charges, I took a long charge on some of his Dark Riders knowing they'd flee. It was a 10-inch charge, and it pushes them further away. I then tried charging another one and just barely failed. Otherwise, I moved forward to attempt to kind of support my right flank against that Hydra, and otherwise I'm just trying to get some good firing lanes on these guys as they go running around doing their thing. Alright, so during my magic phase, I got the Rune of Resilience off on both the Seekers and the Clan's Marksmen with crossbows. Alright, so during my shooting phase, I made a fairly large mistake by shooting my crossbowmen first. That took pretty much my handgunners and my thrown weapon from the Dragon Seeker out of targets. But I still managed to panic the unit of Dark Riders on my right, and to take 4 out of the 5 Dark Riders on my far left off with shots from the Copters. No close combat this turn, and it's going to be Dredd Elves.
So for my movement, my 2 Dark Riders that fled from the panic from the shooting failed to rally, so they're like 2 inches off the board. The Hydra moved around to the flank. The other Dark Riders rallied and moved closer to shoot the Seekers, and then everything else kind of moved sort of out of sight of a lot of units to try and get some good shooting angles and get around his flank. Yeah, and aside from that, everything else kind of moved up a little bit. I'm giving him double 6 charges potentially on like my unit of acolytes, but they're also in range to do all their magic, so we'll see how that goes. So for my magic phase, I first got off a chaos version of Ice and Fire on his gyro, doing 2 wounds. He dispelled my large molten copper, and then I cast the Heredity Dark Elf spell that's real to wounds in the boosted version for shooting, and he got rid of it for the rest of the game. So for my turn 2 shooting, there was a lot of missing. But I did 1 wound to a Hold Guardian and 1 wound to a Gyrocopter. So it's on to Dwarf, turn 2.
So I just had a really effective movement phase. My steam bomber that was alive with 1 wound flew over one of the units of shades, dropped bombs on it, and wiped it out, which caused the other unit of shades to flee off the table. My attack copter used its 1 bomb, its 1 use only bomb, to take out some Dark Riders. It was just 1, so there was no panic. Otherwise, I just generally advanced forward. My BSB left the crossbowmen so that I could get another crossbow shot at either the fleeing Dark Riders to half their leadership or at the bolt thrower over there. And also so that he can kind of protect my handgunners if the Hydra decides it wants to go over there. Otherwise, yeah, it's just moving forward. Alright, magic. The crossbowmen did their banner spell on themselves. The anvil put the distracting hard target on the seekers, and the rune priestess put a distracting hard target on the hold guardians. Alright, shooting was really effective also. The horseman that was behind died, as well as most of the rest of the horsemen on the table. And it's on to Dredd Elves turn 3.
So in this turn, the Hydra flank charged his gunners on the hill, made it in. My 1 Dark Rider left rallied on a 4, so that's ever so nice to have. And then everything else kind of either moved away from his fighting units or moved around to shoot him, blast him with stuff. So my magic, I got off a Quicksilver Lash and killed his steam bomber, and then I got off, which panicked off his unit of Kingsguard. Then I got off Ice and Fire on them, doing 1 wound from the Acolytes, and then I did a boosted Molten Copper, but it fluffed, didn't do any wounds on the Ancestors. So my shooting, I managed to kill the other Gyrocopter, and that's it. So the Hydra combat went really well. I did 7 wounds. He did none in return. He passed his fear check, but then he failed his rally on the double ones, and I ran him down.
Alright, so we're trying to rally, regroup, and essentially make up for a bad loss. But things have been going pretty well. I decided to charge the bolt thrower. The fewer of those things shooting, the better off I'll be. I also am showing him a flank to his knights to see if he's willing to essentially charge in. I don't think he will. He's not in the room. My crossbows had 3 full ranks, so they were allowed to march with the gold token, and assuming nothing untoward happens to them, they'll be able to hop into that building and hopefully hold that down for the rest of the game. My hold guardians decided to move forward, maybe entice the witch elves in, and onward to magic. So on magic, he allowed the clan marksmen with the banner to have their -1 to be wounded again. The -1 to be wounded got off on the hammerers, and the distracting hard target got off on the hold guardians. Close combat, the dragon seeker took out the bolt thrower, and I failed to overrun into the horseman.
Turn 4 movement phase. I failed my march test on my sorcerers, so that was a kind of a bummer because I couldn't magic missile the seekers, but they'll magic missile other things instead. Everything else kind of moved either farther away from the hold guardians or out of sight, and trying to threaten multiple charges next turn from all different angles. And my Hydra moved to threaten the anvil as well next turn. And then my 1 Dark Rider passed his decimated test, and then I put him so that he has to charge and hit him next turn, and then can't try and like run into my bolt thrower again. So my magic phase, I got a Quicksilver Lash and a Molten Copper off on his unit of Kingsguard, and I killed 3. Dread Elf shooting phase number 4, I did 1 wound to the Kingsguard, and then I did a wound onto the hold protectors, killing one of the models.
So the Seekers charged the Horsemen. The Hold Guardians moved to attempt to potentially maybe try to get that Bolt Thrower. There wasn't really any good options where they could threaten the Cold Ones, and still not get charged by a lot. My anvil, being the sage elder that he is, sidestepped out of the charge arc for the Hydra. Magic, I got the Clan's Marksman's spell up on them again, and Distracting Hard Target on the hammers. Shooting was ineffective. Combat, I took out the horsemen. Because my Quarlers are in the building, I decided to try to get the Seekers more involved in some of the other combats and turn them back towards the center.
Dredd Elves move 5, movement phase 5. I just moved my magic to be in range of both his Vengeance Seekers, or his Seekers and his Kingsguard. I moved my Hydra out of the line of sight, but so he can both see the Anvil and the Kingsguard. And then my other units just moved around. I moved my bolt thrower to keep it a really long charge for the hold guard, so that they have to look one way, and either way they're gonna cop a rear or flank. And I moved my other Dread Knights to be looking at the rear of the Kingsguard. So Dark Elf magic phase, turn 5, I killed one Seeker and I killed one Kingsguard. So Dread Elf shooting phase 5, I managed to kill 2 more Vengeance Seekers with the bolt thrower, and hopefully it'll live through the next turn.
Alright, so turn 5 movement. I tried for a long charge. It's late. I didn't really want to try to figure out how to move my Hold Guardians so they wouldn't get charged all over the place. Failed by 1, so we're going to go ahead and see how good they are. Otherwise, I just moved off the hill with the tokens, so we're probably, barring some twist of fate, we will be getting the secondary. So for magic, I got the -1 to be wounded spell off on the Clan's Marksman and the Kingsguard. Alright, did only 2 wounds on the bolt thrower because my Dragon Seeker failed to hit with his hammer.
So my movement, I had 3 charges. The Dread Knights charged into the rear of the Hold Guardians. My Blades of Nab and my BSB charged into the flank. And then my Hydra charged the rear of the Kingsguard. And then everything else either moved out of range of the bolt thrower, of his Quarlers, or crossbowmen, and then or into ranges for various hexes and augments for magic. So Dread Elf magic phase 6. I got off Altered Sight on the Hydra. He dispelled Glory of Gold on the Blades of Nab, and then I did Ice and Fire on his Vengeance Seekers, killing the last 2 of the unit, leaving the guy alone. So my combat, I killed 4 Kingsguard, took 2 wounds on the Hydra, and then on the charge, I did 6 wounds?
6 wounds, yeah.
6 wounds, and he did 5, but he was steadfast because he has some banner, and he made his steadfast 10.
Alright, real quick turn so far. Just charge with the Seeker to try to pull that guy, or the bolt thrower off. Only cast 1 spell, the Distracting Hard Target on the Kingsguard, and failed to hit with the Clan's Marksman in the building. Alright, so a bit of back and forth. The Dragon Seeker did exactly what I expected him to. The Hold Guardians did way more than I was expecting them to. They took 1 more casualty as far as a guy dying, but because of their banner, they were able to be steadfast, and actually, because of how badass they are, they managed to tie combat despite having people in their flank and rear. The Hold Guardians the Kingsguard, on the other hand, are absolute chumps. They could not pass a Leadership 9 test to save their souls, and ended up fleeing, and because there's only 5 of them left, they're all going to pretty much shave off their beards or their heads or whatever it is they do to become Seekers, because the Dragon Seeker needs some more followers.
All right, what a back and forth game on that, and very bloody.
Yes.
So, David, the Dwarves at the end, I know it ended up being a 13-7, but what do you feel that would have been the best thing to change the outcome of this?
Again, I don't know about the BSB placements. It could have potentially been better. I just didn't give the Hydra enough respect, I guess. But on the whole, I guess just leadership failing all those leadership 10s, because there was like...
Was it 3 or 4
Nines.
leaderships that
Was
you failed?
Or, sorry, leadership 9s.
And 8s too.
And 8s too.
Oh, yeah, 8's
Yeah,
because
a
of
lot
the
of
fear.
But anyways, failing all those fear tests, it just, I mean, again, without the BSB, and it's strange not having the king, so I don't know, I may try to get a king back in here so that we can get some better leadership going. The Hold Guardians with the 10 were champs, so...
Your shooting at the beginning was amazing, and then it just kind of...
Well, I guess when you roll high, you just keep rolling high sometimes, so it just happens.
And Pablo, what did you think about the way your list played?
I played pretty well. I was pretty nervous after probably turn 2 because of how well the shooting went. There was tons of things where it was like probably 6 shots, 5 hits on 4s, 5 wounds. I was like, oh, okay, well that's that unit. But I think I recovered pretty well. And the Hydra got a little lucky, but he also did what he's supposed to, and that's chomp through infantry. Magic I think was pretty good. I didn't expect. I mean, yeah, I think I dispelled a fair amount just to make sure that I was competitive throughout it. And then over here. I think my one mistake in the last Magic phase was I should have gone really all out for the Glory of Gold, just to get the AP and see if I can, like, how many wounds I can push through with the Blades of Nab and the BSB.
Sure.
Yeah, because then yeah, it's a whole thing where I get the attribute as well, yada, yada, yada.
Uh-huh.
So, but aside from that, very pleased. Yeah.
And I'm curious what you thought of the Dwarf Bound Magic, because you went pretty heavy on that. Did you like it?
I did, especially that banner, just being able to say those clan marksmen are going to be getting this every single turn was kind of nice. The other thing, not having to roll, it really took a lot of the pressure out of it. And again, I may end up having to drop the anvil to get the king, but we'll see. If I can keep it, I will.
I was impressed. I thought you got quite a few spells off each turn for the Bound.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Of course,
Well,
you lose in one
Yeah, that
each turn.
really helps them out. Yeah.
Do you like that aspect where you get one on your phase and lose one on the other?
I think so. I think what actually I didn't like is I have the Morex Reaping on the Cult Priest, and I actually think that's not very... It didn't work out, and maybe that's just because of the matchup, but I think actually with this list for the most time I won't.
You actually need to be in close combat for that to work.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Well, most of the time my BSB is on a Raptor with other units, so he's more likely to do it. But just this time, I want to try on a foot with the Witch Elves to give him the Murderous Prowess, because I think that with Flaming and all these other things and Alchemy possibly, it's like a ton of damage potential, like really like quick burst for a really small unit that's pretty condensed. It's pretty weak, but if you're shooting at that, you're not shooting at the rest of the list, and then you're probably gonna get shot off. Your shooting's probably gonna get shut off.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, great game, guys.
Yep.
We'll see you guys in the next battle report. Thanks for watching our Dark Wizard Gaming video. If you enjoyed this video, please use the subscribe and the like features here on YouTube. And then leave us any comments for anything that maybe you want to see different on the videos, any upcoming content, or anything else you'd like to see. So thanks a lot, and see you on the next video.